Chapter 3, Theory of Management in Business and Industry.
Good day, ma'am. I am Jeneriel Cagas, a Bshm 2B. For today's presentation, I will be present at Chapter 3, Theory of Management in Business and Industry.
Sound Practices and Fundamental Principles. The meaning of management. The word management is derived from the Italian word maneggiare, which means to train horses, or literally to handle, from the French words manager, an act of guiding, of leveling. Attributes of the term management. In the same way that the word organization may be defined to mean either a group of individuals and factors under relationships or to the process itself, the term management can also assume varying shades of meaning.
Therefore, it is customary to refer to the executives or officials of a corporation as the management of that company. We imagine management as the team that establishes policy and implements executive action when we read in the headlines that the company's workers called the strike due to management's haughty attitude. Again, management may denote a field of activity. In this sense, management is the activity or process which coordinates, directs, and controls the activities of all other parts.
In a very real sense, management is a distinctive profession of organizing and directing men, although this aspect is too often unappreciated and neglected. In its most comprehensive meaning, management is the activity or process which coordinates, directs, and controls the activities of all other parts. In the light of the foregoing considerations ascribed to the word management, the following definitions may be arrived at. First, management is the science of organizing, preparing, and directing human efforts applied to control the forces and to utilize the materials of nature for the benefit of man. Second, management is the development of people and not the direction of things. Third, management is the scientific utilization of men, money, and materials to accomplish a desired purpose. Fourth, management is simply stated and defined as the getting of things done through the efforts of other people. Relationship between management and organization. In the previous chapter and in the preceding discussion, we mentioned the different and varying definition of organization and management. However, in actual usage, say in the operation of business concerns, they are generally interchanged or jointly and inseparably applied.
Organization, for instance, is considered as the relationships of the structural elements in business, including the individuals to carry on the work to accomplish the desired purpose, and management as the planning, directing, controlling, and coordinating of those elements. Again, organization refers to the shape or form of an enterprise and the arrangement of all its components in a way that is suitable for use in service, while management refers to all individuals responsible for overseeing the work of others and ensuring that the components so structured and arranged are utilized in service to the greatest extent possible. The structural factors, sometimes known as the 5 M's, are people, materials, machines, methods, and money. They are used by management to coordinate, direct, and control the completion of work.
Who is management? Traditionally, management means one individual or a small group of key people who make the significant decisions and keep the policy-making power and function as an absolute power over the organization. In a sole proprietorship, it would be the owner. In a big company, it would be the direction or key executives. What is a good management? A management is considered good when competent men are placed as heads of the departments, when these men are responsible for and in control of all activities and when they work as a team under the leadership of a strong executive.
A management is also good when changes in business activities could be effected on short notice. For example, there were many companies in the United States during the Second World War, which on short notice had to liquidate their normal businesses and convert to the production of new war products, and quite frequently on a scale many times greater than the former production.
The above-mentioned effective changes were the result of intelligent planning, capable performance, and fine teamwork, in other words, good management. When is management considered successful? Management is said to be successful when it makes industry efficient, and this efficiency is measured concretely in terms of quality and quantity of products produced with the minimum efforts at the least possible cost. Functions of management are referred to as the weaving together of the various components to ensure that all elements work properly and that everyone works together toward a common goal. Especially, management has the following: planning, coordinating, directing, and controlling. Number 1. Planning is a methodic technique of looking ahead in order to meet work requirements and to reduce the amount of mental efforts required while the work is being done.
The essence of planning is to remember the value of time, the virtue of patience, and the joy of originating.
Number 2. Coordinating implies the smooth working together of the different posting elements. It aims toward a perfect meshing of or a harmonious adjustment among the elements employed.
Coordination means concurrence in purpose and performance to secure harmony in action toward a common end. A good illustration of coordination is that of a symphony orchestra in which various musical sounds of many instruments, consisting of different tones, qualities, and pitches, are all coordinated or blended together, resulting in smooth, melodious music. Lack of coordination would result in a cacophony of noise and not music.
Number 3. Directing means the pointing of all efforts toward the known objective. Management directs the basic elements so that they have a bearing straight upon the objective. Action along which the enterprise is to move are set up. Direction gives guidance and points out the course to be followed. Number 4. Control includes the restraining, checking, and motivating influences exercised by the management. System, a fundamental in operating a business. In business, planned methods of procedure are called system. When organizational procedures are standardized, we have a system. Advantages of proper use of system. System, when properly applied, has the following advantages. Number 1. System is the introduction of order and method wherever it is applied. Number 2. Everyday work becomes routine through a system. Number 3. System permits an authority to devote their time and effort to more important work, such as planning, attending to major problems, searching for new markets and products, and the like. And lastly, number 4. System aids in the control and reduction of cost. Rules of applying system. In considering the advantages gained by the use of system, one must be careful not to consider system as a total cure for all industrial ills. Many managers are so interested in system that they lost sight of the objective to be gained by the use of system. The result was the development and use of a complicated system so full of red tape, which more than defeats the very objective of instituting it. Number 1. System use in a particular concern should reflect a basic general plan. Number 2. A system must represent a definite and useful purpose. Number 3. Maintaining a system must prove worth its cost. 4. A system should be clear, simple, easily understood, and adequate to fit in the need but involving the least expenditure of time and effort. Number 5. There should be frequent periodic checking. Basic principles of management. There has been developed in the field of management a body of principles to be applied in the conduct of business. These fundamental principles have been developed through years of practical experience. They can be applied in the conduct of any business, large or small, partnership or corporation, industrial or commercial. For they are based upon the understanding or truth that in their fundamental objectives and operation all businesses are alike. It is the application of the principles that is varied to suit the needs of the individual business.
Just as no one man alone invented the vehicle, the management field as a whole has contributed to this collection of concepts.
The following principles, formulated some years ago, are considered fundamental to the successful conduct of any business enterprise. The principle of policy making. Definite, clear-cut policies are essential to effective management.
Policies might be broadly classified as general company policies, major policies, and department policies, always bearing in mind, however, that they are not three distinct classes but rather stages and development of the same underlying idea. The development of a policy may be illustrated by an example.
The principle of improvement and adjustment. To be successful, a business must advance, it cannot remain dormant. A company which brings out a new successful product has a distinct advantage over its competitors. The company which continually improves its methods and systems and management labor relationships progresses, while the company which is contented with things as they are slips backward. The principle of balance. To secure proper development of business and efficiency in operation, a company must be internally well balanced. A sales manager may be so interested in making sales that he extends credit even to those who should not get it. The credit manager may be so strict in requiring certain criteria before credit is given that he places unnecessary restrictions on the selling effort. A production manager may insist on too much inventories, while the inventory control head may cut down too much on stocks of raw materials. In the overall setup, balance is essential. The principle of relationship of task and accomplishment. A person works best and accomplishes most when he is given a definite job to be completed in a given time, the work being of a nature for which he is mentally and physically suited. If a man is assigned to a work in which he is not mentally or physically fit, he will not prove equal to the work. If his mental and physical capabilities are greater than the job demands on him, he will quickly exhaust the job possibilities and grow tired of the work. He will become restless and dissatisfied. Next, the principle of individual effectiveness. Individual effectiveness is increased through training and improved working conditions. Selection of employees is initially the important factor to consider, but no matter how well selected an employee is, his performance is still capable of improvement.
No matter how small a part a worker plays in a business, it should be ascertained that he understands how do the job given to him, because business concerns have found that it pays to instruct the worker in the particular work he is to do. The application of his principle has led to training programs classes in executive and supervisory development, and training on the job for workers.
Next, the principle of simplicity. All elements which are not essential to successful operation should be eliminated, and all those retained should be applied in the simplest way. In a small business concern, there is quick action. In a larger business, however, action is slower because many persons are involved and the company to a large extent operates through written instructions, reports, and records. There is, therefore, delayed action and thus expenses are increased. Service to customer is also slower. Next, the principle of specialization. Scientific distributions of work results in a specialization of effort and task. In specialization, work is divided according to skill and effort required. Certain operations, for instance, requiring skill must be given to skilled men. Each man performs but one operation and repeats the operation over and over, thus becoming an expert in the particular job. Next, the principle of standardization. Whenever practicable, best practices should be determined, expressed in terms of definite units or standards, and adapted as a pattern for use in operating or performance and in planning and control. In business, there can be developed an infinite variety of standards such as standards of methods, process, task, operation, time, material, design, or etc. Standardization of product. This has to do with the selection of items, types, and sizes of products in greatest demand, and by concentrating the manufacturing, distributions, and other operations on those which are so selected.
A corporation might produce 5 products at first. However, it chooses to focus on just one or a few product categories. Production standardization might be implemented in such a situation coupled with a reduction in the amount of heavy machinery, administrative effort, and supervision that is required. Costs are decreased and the work is simpler. Mass production and part interchange are made possible by product standardization.
Administration standard. This has to do with standards or performance which give management definite measures by which to gauge efficiency, to evaluate and control current performance, and to estimate and plan for the future.
With such a benchmark, management has a clear foundation for comparison and an understanding of how much below capacity the company is operating.
Next, the principle of financial incentive. Remuneration should be in direct proportion to the value of accomplishment. There are some non-financial incentives which bear of material benefit to both the workers and the company or employer. These incentives have been found by many companies to have strong influence over the productive capacity of the workers and have directly contributed to an increased output for the company. Next, the principle of human relations. Management succeeds or fails as human relations in business are intelligently or otherwise handled. Management and labor are after the same objectives. Both desire the business to prosper. Further, security depends upon that prosperity. Both want fair treatment management. Both desire the respect of their fellow men. Both want to be recognized for what they do and what they are.
For instance, if the worker is unusually skillful and has a long record of service, he always appreciates recognition and he should get it. If disciplinary actions is to be given, it should be fair. If criticism is necessary, it should be made privately.
Next, the principle of planning. In order to satisfactorily accomplish anything of importance, there must be planning in advance of doing. Planning substitutes knowledge for guesswork. It reduces the element of chance. It anticipates difficulties, involves a decision as to what should be done, how it should be done, where it should be done, and when it should.
For instance, if the worker is unusually skillful and has a long record of service, he always appreciates recognition and he should get it. If disciplinary actions is to be given, it should be fair. If criticism is necessary, it should be made privately.
Next, the principle of control. Planning is of little value unless there is subsequent control to make certain that plans are carried out. After the plans have been made and instructions issued, those in charge must have some means of determining whether the plans are being carried out. In many instances, determining is done through observations of the work in process or examination of finished job. Next, the principle of corporations. The efforts of two working as a unit toward a common goal are greater than the sum of the efforts of the individuals working as individuals. In barrow house moving, the house to be carried may require 50 men working together. The same house could not be moved by 100 men if these men have and pulled or shouldered their burden individually and as they please. Next, the principle of leadership. Wise leadership is the most important single factor in successful operation. This principle holds equally true for a company as a whole, a department, or a gang of workers. Good leadership implies the ability to do what one sets out to do, the spirit to carry on until the task set is accomplished, the personality and ability to win cooperation and loyalty, the skill to direct and control the efforts of others. Next, the principle of delegation of authority and responsibility. Decisions should be made at the lowest practicable organization level. Delegation means giving power to do certain things to subordinates and pointing out how that power is to be used. The proper appreciation of this principle is important because management is involved with superior-subordinate relationships, and these relationships can become clear only when delegation of authority is understood and well applied. Delegation of authority gives rise to another principle that is equally important. This is the principle of authority and responsibility. It simply means that if a subordinate is given the responsibility of making and implementing certain decisions, then he should be given an equal amount of authority to push those decisions through. On the other hand, if a person is given a certain amount of authority, he should have as great an amount of responsibility in accounting for the way he exercises that authority. Authority should equal responsibility and vice versa. Next, the principle of utilization of executive ability. Executive ability can be utilized fully, offering it of the need to attend to all routine matters. Executive talents are relieved when standards of performance are set up and definite plans are made, and the executive directs his attention only to variations which are materially good or bad, to further planning, to policy making, coordination, and other important tasks.
Executives are liberated from the time consuming of a firm through the use of the aforementioned principle. However, they are kept closely informed of all actions related to the functions for which they are accountable thanks to reports and other control mechanisms.
Conditions in business are dynamic and changes in conditions frequently call for modification of policies, methods, and standards. Any such action may give notice to the management that either something eternally is wrong and should be corrected or due to change conditions the present standards are no longer useful or are out of line.
It is by concentrating on matters such as this that chief executive's ability is fully utilized.
The principle has further application to executives of large concerns with complex problems of direction and coordination. The growth of big industrial and commercial complexes, mergers, holding companies, and management companies has led to executives called super managers. The overall head of big firms or several sister corporations such as the General Motors Corporation in the United States and the Soriano YGA managed firms in the Philippines would be examples of executives to whom this principle clearly applies. Executives of lesser importance also need this principle according to their duties.
Relieving certain top executive of divisional duties and responsibilities permits them to devote their full time and energy to long-range planning and broad overall direction, coordination, and control.
The foregoing principles of organization and management depend on executive leadership for their application. The organization may be perfect, the system and methods may be the best possible of formulation, and business conditions ideal for success, yet success will not come without leadership.
Organization principles and management techniques are of the mind, methods, system, timetables, and standards. Leadership is of the spirit, a psychological process that provides guidance through personality, character, intelligence, and other intangible characteristics.
The executive or manager, whether at the top or at slightly lower levels, should give certain attributes of a leader in addition to the technical competence required by the nature of his position. Thus, the executive should have Number 1. Physical and mental health. Vitality, strength, and endurance are required for executives. Number 2. Intellect. The ability to think clearly and grasp things objectively, especially when it comes to complex or academic issues. Number 3. Personality refers to individual differences in defining thought, feeling, and behavior patterns. Understanding individual variances in certain personality traits such as friendliness or irritability is one major emphasis of the study of personality. Next, number 4, character. The traits that make a person unique in their minds and morals. Next, number 5, language. The primary means of exchanging information between individuals through the use of words in a structured and customary manner, whether in voice, writing, or gesture. These characteristics of leadership blend the principles of organization and management into a functioning whole.